Alright, so welcome back to another scenario video about WICSO. In this scenario video about WICSO, we're going to be taking a look at what if the old empire returned. Actually, let me get rid of these capitals because no one's going to need them. As we see that the old empire is back, and they're arguably way stronger. As with technology being way more advanced, and just the world being way more unified against it, they're in a great and also terrible spot. They're in the center of the world, which is not good, but they're also the strongest country, as there's no country, except maybe Unitaria, that can surpass their power. Or maybe these guys. Maybe the orange guys. Sorry, my nose is still not stuffy. I'm pre-recording these videos because I don't want to do them on the weekend. No, we're doing this on Monday night at 2 in the morning. Anyways, but yeah, this is a war scenario. We're not going to look at what would happen. This is just pure, what if the old empire returned and became expansionist. But we're going to have to obviously turn on this and turn it back off, as no existing for alliances. Okay, the first thing that the old empire is going to do is they're going to do some cleanup by knocking out Egypt, finishing off this nation, and in this country. As all these three are completely annihilated from this, as the old empire is just way too strong to have weaklings bordering them. As the old empire now looks something like this, getting most of their expansion from this country up here. But now, they're on a watch list, as every single country knows that the old empire is expanding. And that's the whole reason they returned, is to expand. But since the world just fought the Ultranites, I think, it's been so long since I've watched WICSO 100. But yeah, I think since the world literally just got done fighting the Ultranites, and the old empire didn't, they're gonna be prepared. And it's time for more cleanup, isn't it? As the old empire launches an attack on this country, yeah, it just gets obliterated so quickly that this country didn't even get a treaty because how quickly it gets obliterated. So just know that's how good the old empire is in combat. If you fight them, you will get absolutely obliterated. Plus, they have a shit ton of experience. We're gonna remove the border because the border outline for the puppets, as we know what the puppets are, we know where they hold, so no reason to have a border. But the old empire is gonna get a new puppet, and it's gonna be this area down here. Now you can't see it now, but boom. As they gain a puppet right here to not border the Ultranites, as that's one thing they do not want to have a border with, is the Ultranites. By golly, I'm so sorry. But they can win against India. They can win against India. So they don't really fear India. But they fear the Ultranites, as if they attack the Ultranites, they'll be fighting so many men on so many fronts with such organized thing, because how long they've been preparing for a war. So other countries can attack, let's say like Russia attacks. So that's why they're making puppets to block out the Ultranites. Anyways, the old empire has a goal, as they have a historical alliance in Africa, being this country. And since their northern counterpart hates them, and they hate their northern counterpart, the old empire comes to deal with them. They say, hey, if you give us, like, this province, then you can annex the rest of your archenemy. As Sudan rapidly accepts this, but the old empire says, like, you're gonna have to, like, give us your full, like, everything that you can. And this country's, like, worth it. As they destroy their arch enemy, they get a infinite protection from the old empire, and they return to being the historical buddies. As the old empire did give them coastline after all. Actually, let's fix this because it looks really ugly. There we go. That's more lore accurate to the time. As we see this being the new borders of Africa, as the old empire has a friend now. Oh, but the old empire gets the news of what the gold team did back in World War IV, and they took over their historical land and did genocide to their people. So, yeah, you don't do genocide to the old empire's people and expect, when they return, to not get obliterated. As old Empyrean forces flood into the gold team at a rate unprecedented, as they begin to do the same things that they were doing to their people. As we're going to be seeing the old empire's religion be back, as yeah, no need for the alternate stuff. But yeah, we see these areas rapidly becoming old Empyrean religion, and this makes every country in the universe hate the old empire. But that's what happens when you fuck with the old empire's people. They fuck you up. Sorry for the profanity, I guess, but I really don't care. Okay, anyways, the old empire gets a bunch of land from the gold team, and the gold team pledges that they will never do anything like that ever, ever, ever again. As then the gold team becomes an ally to the old Empyreans, but at one costly cost. Their religion ends. As we see the old empire not liking what they did, so they force everyone to converge to their religion and the country, just to get back at the genocide. Anyways, the old empire has done pretty much everything. Let's put them over South America, but let's get all of them. So let's just. Oh yeah, this is huge. Golly, empire, fucking old empire. You're gonna need to stop taking steroids, man. As a coalition is gonna form against them. It's not going to attack now. Okay, let's just obliterate these guys. The only alliance is the Ultranites, as not the Ultranites, the fucking Unitarians, as they're the only ones to really exist, as they're like one country. So, golly, sorry, but yeah, let's see the old Empire's alliance. Yeah, the Square Team. What a surprise! As it consists of these three countries. And now, let's take a look at the alliance against them. Oh gosh, we're getting some very historical tendencies, what can I say? As countries that even used to like them, for the most part, are joining this. As the Farmers Union doesn't really fear the old empires, they know they're chill, As, all of these countries form up against the old Empyreans. And yes, we see some very historical things happening here. But the old empire sees a legal loophole. As long as they don't attack the X-Alliance, the X-Alliance won't attack them. And to stop the expansion of the X-Alliance, they launch Operation No More Expansion for You, buddy. As they launch a simultaneous attack on Libya, this country, the gold team, and this country. As they don't want anyone to, let's just make it the brightest color possible. Yeah. Oh, wait, what the? Oh. But yeah, we see them launching these attacks so the alliance doesn't expand. And then some old Empyrean ships in the Indian Ocean are trying to trade, and then Ultranite ships blow them up. The old Empire says, yo, what the fuck? And then we see World War VII breaking out. I'm just kidding. Golly. There's so much snot in my nose. Golly. As old Empyrean forces flood onto this island, as you don't blow up their boats and expect no outcome from the old Empyreans, as they're just like America. You blow up their ships, you die. As the old Empire is so overpowered that they can fight on all these fronts and not really expect that anything different. As the gold team is really super duper weak, and plus they have a close ally right here. And yes, I just said close ally. As you know that the Square Alliance exists, though, right? Yeah, and the Farmers Union is part of it. As they rejoin the Square Alliance, what? And we see them and the old Empire obliterating the gold team together to make sure that Russia can't expand into it. And then they are able to take this country's capital. But Russia isn't just going to let this slide, as this was their historical territory, as Russia launches an attack into the rest of the country. And tensions begin to reach a boiling point, as the old Empire goes in and occupies this area for the Farmers Union, and the Farmers Union occupies this area for the old Empire. And the old Empire is the literal closest they've ever been to Moscow. They've been close to Moscow, but they've never been this close, as they could just send 100,000 forces to the capital, but they don't want to go up against 2, 3, 4, and the Ultranites. As yes, the old Empire is one. As we see this country falling, the old Empire begins to show that they are literally unstoppable. As with their forces expanding on every front so easily, the Cross Alliance begins to realize if they let the old Empire win this war, they're cooked. But the old Empire, as soon as they come to this conclusion, the old Empire makes peace with the Ultranites and every country they were fighting. Sorry. As we see the old Empire gaining this land, gaining unlimited trade routes with the Ultranites, we see their new buddy gain some pretty small chunks of Africa, but they do gain something, which is better than nothing. This country, Sudan, just annexes it because the old Empire doesn't need that much land. The old Empire, take a shot every time I say the old Empire. Rhymes. I'm Dr. Seuss reborn, buddy. Just kidding. But Rome, the old Empire, gosh, why am I getting these two so freaking confused? The old Empire takes this, and this becomes uninhabited. So, yes. As this is what the old Empire looks like right now, but after this, why is this? No, what's happening? As we see Ukraine returning, but as a old Empyrean puppet. As we see the Farmers Union gaining a decent chunk of land. Why? Oh. The old Empire gains this, and actually they make some nicer borders. Boom, bam, bop. And then we see what happens here. The old Empyreans are able to twist Russia's hand behind their back and get this land. For reasons. But Russia is kind of forced to accept this, because if they don't, they'll get absolutely obliterated. As the gold team now becomes the old empire's stepway to Moscow, and Ukraine is really happy about it, as they never really liked Russia in the first place. But yes, the old empire is massive, and it's time for the war of the video. Because we can't just leave the map looking like this, no. Gosh. I need to blow my nose, but... Okay, sorry. We see the old Empyreans. Why do they have this? This is your puppet, buddy. It's your freaking puppet. I don't know why you have that, but... Yeah, we see the old empire deciding that they're done expanding, you know? They don't want to expand anymore. Then Russia launches a false flag operation. And you know what happens when Russia launches a false flag operation? Millions of casualties. As coming over here, we see the most high-tensioned place in the world, the Adriatic Sea. As we have 4 nations competing for it, for the most part, and the Farmers Union isn't really fighting for it, they're just making it worse. As the old empire is beefing with these two. And then this country launches an attack to free Rome. As they're able to free Rome from the old Empyreans. but the old Empyreans are like, what? That's legally our city. How do you have people there? And then rebels begin to break out in Italy. As the old empire begins to get war flashbacks from all that time ago. As rebellions begin to surge. The Italian peninsula falls. But the old empire, they go back and obliterate the rebels, which causes World War 7 or 8. Yeah, 8. Let's just say World War 8. As Russian forces were prepared for this. As they make a massive attack into right here. But remember, the old empire wasn't completely oblivious to what was going on. As they take Russia's capital. The first week of the war, Russia's capital falls. But the brown team launches a massive attack into these two countries to get supplies to Russia, and Russia does the same. But the Farmers Union launches an attack before Russia and the brown team can, as they're able to cut off supply routes, making a straight line up and wasting over 100,000 troops in this massive battle, as they're losing more troops than they can physically output. So they decide to hold this front, and they beg the old empire to send as many forces as they can, because it's only their forces up here right now. As the Farmers Union has literally everything they can right here, which is able for which leads the purple team to make an attack, and Russia to try to make a flank and try to reach the Black Sea over here. Golly, sorry. But yeah, the old Empyreans launch an attack on Rome, as Rome's capital falls really quickly. As the Farmers Union is also able to push back Rome, and this is with old Empyrean support now, as they're able to launch an attack deep into the purple team. As with this, the old Empyreans are able to push back up here into the Italian peninsula, And they want this area so they can fight the Dutch. And the reason they want to fight the Dutch is because fighting the Dutch gets them an easy way to France. And an easy way to France leads to quick victory. Because without French forces here, that would lead to less forces everywhere. As we see really quickly, this country's capital, or South Mediterranean's capital, fall. And yeah, the old Imperians, they really do have plot armor. And I know some of y'all hate the old Empire, but face it, the old Empire, if they did return, they would be really strong. Coming over to India, we see Rome's Rome. We see the old Empire's puppet state pushing India. As yes, India, as they're able to do massive damage to India. And then, yes, we're returning the Lime Team too. Maybe a future video, maybe not. As we see these areas break away, and oh no, India has to fight Lime Team rebels. Yeah, and the pink team up here, their president got really sick, and like he just didn't want to fight the old empire, you know. But the green team, they're pissed. They want to fight the old empire, you know, as they send everything they have, full send into the old empire. But yeah, remember all that expansion you did over the episodes? Yeah, just green team, it's your destiny. You will only win against the old empire once. And with old Imperial forces returning from India, sorry to say this, but you're gone. And rapidly the Farmers Union is able to push back here, but at a pretty decent cost, as some of this area gets re-liberated. But the Dutch make an attack. Let's change this up to more. No, this needs to be darker. Yeah, there we go. As the brown team sees what the old empire is trying to do, as they're able to kick them back pretty far. The old empire calls in their allies, and their allies rapidly move forces up. They call in all the people from over here. They move up. And it's pretty much the old empire versus Europe. But we see, we see the Irish launching a re-liberation tactic, as they want their empire back. They want to be remembered. They don't want to be small. And oh, you remember that humiliating loss from the Ultranites? Yeah, we see the old empire forcing Doggerland to join, or they'll have the same fate as their counterpart. And with this, Doggerland and Ireland work together for the borders to look something like this. The Ultranites in Doggerland are able to invade Denmark, and since the Dutch are like sending everything down here and over here, see massive areas begin to be pushed back, and another historic old Imperial ally launches an attack. As the world sees the old empire's influence, and America ask if they can join. Everyone hates America because of this, but they send forces over here. They take these islands and they say, "Hey, now can we join? Because if we do join, we'll be able to Why am I stuttering? We will be able to take out France." The old empire thinks of this and they're like, Will you give us money? America says, sure. And another old Imperial ally, historic old Imperial ally, launches an attack on the Dutch. As we see, the world is jumping the brown team. And some rogue purple team soldiers also launch an attack on the brown team. For historic reasons. And after a while, the French surrender. And the Dutch is like, the purple team, what the fuck? I thought we were fighting one of our arch enemies. But no. You can't change a purple team lover's mind about the brown team. As Italy is known for switching sides. Now the purple team is. The purple team, you will live on. Your real life's legacy by switching sides midway through the war to destroy your arch enemy. And the world seeing that the purple team is like Italy in World War I and II, everyone jumps them, and they get beat so bad that they sink into the bottom of the ocean. And yeah, that's it for the purple team. And then we see yes, I'm using this color because it's no other real colors. But yeah, we see the Farmers Union pushing into Russia. And every country that the brown team did wrong will attack. And after months of fighting, the capital falls to the Ultra Knights, and Old Empire is up against Russia. As the Old Empire remembers what Russia did to them all those centuries ago, they give the order. And Russia gets lit up like a firework. It's a beautiful night show as they get obliterated. As Russia doesn't know how the Old Empire still had nuclear bombs, but this is the end of Russia forever. And just like the purple team, they will also sink to the bottom of the ocean. The Old Empire has beat all their historic enemies. And they now shall rule the world. And, no, not this. On the capital layer, they live, as they will take over the world. And the only thing of countries left is known as the capital cities. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, you should probably like and subscribe. We will do this with the Russian Empire too, so don't get mad, but yeah, that's it. Have a wonderful day.